everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Corey. It has been a while since I have posted a video because I returned to work last week after being on furlough for quite a while, so I didn't have as much time to paint, but I'm very happy to be able to share this video with you and this painting. And it's probably one of my favorite subject matters. Since I first started really getting into art, have always loved painting and drawing horses. So this is a horse, and I'm just going to talk about some of the techniques and materials I used, and I hope you enjoy. So we'll get right into it. I am beginning with the eye, and as you can tell, I did not do an underpainting for this piece. However, I always start out with a very light line drawing, so you can see those very light lines on there. And I really didn't use a lot of colors in this painting overall. I was using either black or Payne's gray, especially in the eyes, a lot of Payne's gray and black, or burnt sienna, raw sienna, burnt umber, and then there is a very dark brown that I can't remember what it's called, so I apologize for that, but those are really the only colors I use, and just smidgens of, I think, the manganese blue for some of there's a couple spots of highlights in the mane and the eye where I just use very faintly that color. So just working in layers, that's really what it's all about with realism, over and over, just building up the watercolor until you get the shape, the musculature, and the texture that you want. I am, of course, using my trusty Princeton Art and Brush Company size 4 round tip brush. I use it for practically everything. Most of the shadows, I used the Payne's gray and that really dark brown, and then the mid-tones were basically the burnt umber, and then I did wind up going over to give it more of a reddish hue, the raw sienna and a little bit of raw umber as well. And with a painting like this that is so detailed, I find that I have to approach it in very small bite-sized chunks, maybe 1 to 2 hours a day, or at least at a time, because otherwise I start getting a little bit of art ADD, I guess, on my mind. I'll just keep jumping around to different areas and start not paying as close attention to my reference image, which is, as always, linked in the description, the reference image from Unsplash. The artist took a really beautiful photo for this, so I was thrilled to be able to paint from it. But yeah, just approaching it in bite-sized chunks and giving yourself the grace to realize that it's going to take some time. So this is probably the painting over the course of a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. Just chipping away every single day. And that's really what a regular art practice is about, in my mind, is just doing a little something every day, and then you're going to see results. every time you work on something, you will improve. And if it's consistent and habitual, you're definitely going to see your skills advance. Oh, and I did forget, I did wind up mixing up a bit of a sort of plum purple for some of those shadows in there. They had a bit of a almost purpley plum hue. So that was alizarin crimson, and I think it was raw umber. For this painting, definitely trying to maintain the highlights, and of course that is the case with all watercolor. You don't want to fill in your white areas so that you can maintain them, although there are ways to get them back if you go back over with white ink or sometimes even white colored pencil. But in this case, I did, in some of the areas that were the true highlights, go maybe a little darker, because at the end I wind up using my old-fashioned pen and nib to sort of scrape into the surface of the paint to add really fine white hairs and to lighten some of those areas where the highlights in the fur are. And then this felt like a major milestone where I finally really got the entire horse filled in, and it matched the image. You can see there at first I had about an inch of space between the edge of the paper and the side of the horse, because that's how the reference image was, and then I realized that looks really kind of silly. So I just improvised and approximated what I thought the continuation of the horse's neck would look like. So hopefully that is as close to accurate as it can be, even though I didn't actually have that part of the image because the image cut it off. Just filling in shadows and details, and during these latter parts of the painting I really was using the tip of that brush to try and get some of the fine hairs on the face as well as in the mane. Here is that pen and nib where I am sort of scraping into the surface of the paper. Oh, and by the way, this is warm press, 140-pound watercolor paper. I mean hot press, I'm sorry. And it's so smooth. It just feels like everything blends together so nicely because it's a smooth surfaced paper. So that was nice. And it tends to work well with the pen and nib with scraping some of it away. So basically I'm scraping the paint away until it's back to the base paper. And that's what adds some of the highlights and those detailed fine hairs. I did that with the eyelashes. There were some fine hairs around the muzzle, and then of course throughout the face. And that is that. There's the finished product, and it was just a lot of fun to work on this. So I hope you enjoyed watching and got a few tips and ideas. I will have more videos coming soon, and please check out any of my others if you enjoyed this one. Thanks so much. See you next time.